Welcome artists! In this video you will learn about the skills and concepts we will be exploring and applying in this unit, which is all about expressive portraits. Please make sure you have your Unit 3 note guide to complete while watching this video. Let's look at the big ideas we will be exploring in this unit. This unit focuses on two big questions. First, what is a portrait? And second, how do artists communicate messages, personal identity, feelings, or emotions in their work? As you can see, there are as many ways to create a portrait as there are artists to create them. In this video, I hope to give you the inspiration and ideas on how to create your own expressive portrait. Big question number one, what is a portrait? A portrait is the likeness or representation of a person, usually showing the face. What do you notice about these portraits created by student artists? What do you think you would need to know to create a portrait such as one of these? How did each of the artists incorporate unique elements to communicate something about themselves and their feelings or emotions? I hope you're noticing that a portrait can be so much more than your typical yearbook photo type of image. The artist can change angles, alter features, and add symbols or other imagery to help communicate a message about the person in the picture. Which leads us to our second big question, which is a little more complex. Artists use a variety of techniques, including color, line, contrast, symbolism, and facial expressions to communicate emotions or messages in their works of art. Throughout this video, I hope to show you many examples of how artists communicate to give you inspiration and ideas on how you can create an expressive portrait of your own. The learning targets we're focusing on in this unit fall under the connecting standards. While this project gives you an opportunity to work on all of the learning targets, I want you to pay particular attention to the idea of communication, or how you express yourself in your artwork. Your goal in this unit is to think about how you can create a portrait that conveys a message, or a portrait that reflects your personal identity, your feelings, likes, or dislikes. Now let's go over the skills that you'll need to know for this unit. In order for you to achieve the goal of creating an expressive portrait, you must first practice a few key skills. In this unit, you will learn how to draw a realistic portrait. By the end of the unit, you will know how to draw accurate facial proportions, and you will know how to draw facial features, and you will learn shading techniques to create different values and create contrast in your drawings. Let's go over the vocabulary that you will need to know for this unit. First is value. Value is one of the elements of art that refers to the lightness or darkness of a surface. In our last unit, we created contour drawings, which were just outlines and had no shading. In this unit, we'll be learning shading techniques to create different values within our drawings. Next is contrast. Contrast is one of the principles of design that refers to highlighting differences within a work of art. Artworks can be high contrast, like this image on the left, which means a drastic difference between the values, or they can be low contrast. In high contrast works of art, we can see the whole range of the value scale. We see bright white, we see dark black, and we see them used together, along with values in the middle to create a high contrast work of art. Low contrast, on the other hand, uses just a few values within a smaller portion of the scale. In this unit, you will learn how to apply shading techniques to create a high or low contrast portrait that helps you convey your chosen emotion or message that you're hoping to communicate. Proportion is one of the principles of design that refers to the size relationship between objects or parts of a whole. In this case, the whole will be the face. In this unit, you will learn how to create accurate facial proportions in order to create a realistic portrait with all facial features sized correctly. In addition to learning correct facial proportions, we will look at each feature of the face individually in order to learn how to use shapes and shading to accurately represent each feature. There are many artists we can look to for inspiration on creating our portraits. I encourage you to take some time to further explore at least one of the artists shown in the next few slides to consider how they could influence your art making process. Kehinde Wiley is an American painter who was inspired to recreate historical paintings using contemporary figures. He is perhaps best known for his presidential portrait of Barack Obama, seen here. He creates expressive portraits using the subject's clothing and facial expressions to communicate their identity. The artwork on the right was created by a student artist. Can you see how she drew inspiration from Wiley's patterned backgrounds and use of facial expression to communicate mood and identity? Frida Kahlo was a Mexican artist who painted many self-portraits. As an immigrant to the United States who was very proud of her strong Mexican heritage, she used symbolism to communicate themes of gender, identity, and politics in her self-portraits. Both of these were created by student artists. Can you see how they use symbolism and elements of nature to communicate themes of identity and mood in their portraits? Chuck Close is another famous American portrait artist. Suffering from a learning disability taught him that he was more successful when he broke larger projects into smaller parts. This realization led him to his signature style of using a grid to complete his larger-than-life portraits. Starting with a hyper-realistic style, as seen here, he then transitioned to a more abstract style by breaking each square of the grid into its own unique part. The artwork on the right was created by another student artist. Can you see how he drew inspiration from Close's use of grid, pattern, and value to create his portrait? The list of portrait artists goes on and on. Here are a few more you could research to get ideas on how to make your expressive portrait. Again, it's important to look at how you can be inspired by others to improve your own art making. So that's it for this video. I hope you've been inspired to begin the process of creating your own expressive portrait. Start working on building your skills, and I can't wait to see what you create. Thanks for listening.